Hello there. Welcome back to Understanding Design. This is the 7th and last session of our course. By now, we have had discussion on various aspects of design and we have seen how design interacts with human activity in diverse ways. It is concerned with users in their context, it makes technology accessible to all, it impacts society and the environment and is often a collaborative effort. But beyond this, there is something intrinsic to design, something that brings design into existence. That element is innovation. Innovation is the buzzword today and everyone speaks of it as an absolute necessity for success. Just like design, there are many ways that innovation is defined and perceived. Every organization talks about bringing in innovation, not only to products they create, but processes by which they manufacture and sell their products. Creative people think of innovation as new ideas, as a way of making new connections between materials, as ways of using and reusing them, or new ways of communicating. Some talk of innovation as something new, a novelty, as something that never existed before, like a new technology or a new application of an existing technology. Take the internet. The technology existed for many years in research organizations and labs way before it became the place for anyone seeking some information and getting it instantly, or wanting to share with the world their thoughts, feelings, photos, work, so many things. Today we cannot even imagine the world without the www. Can you? So now we come to our theme for the day, innovation by design. We need to understand innovation and how design enables innovation. We have with us once again my colleague Professor Chakravarti, who will speak to us about this very crucial aspect. He works in the field of product innovation, so that's what he will talk about. Welcome back to Understanding Design. Could you elaborate on the meaning of the phrase innovation by design? I mean, isn't all of design innovation?
Well, innovation by design is a practice of using design tools and methods to create user-centered novel products. At the core of this process is empathy for the user and innovative use of technology to arrive at solutions. The process is widely recognized as design thinking.
The key elements are empathize, observe, ideate, prototype, and test, right?
Yes.
So would you say ideas are the most important after empathy?
Yes, they are, but it is hardly enough to have an out-of-the-box idea unless we are able to give it a concrete shape. Anyone can come up with ideas. Many of these ideas may have the potential to radically change our surroundings.
I read somewhere that every seed is a promise of a tree, but not all seeds become trees. They need to be nurtured.
Exactly. For a product design idea to be successful, it has to be manufactured and distributed, and it has to reach the hands of a large number of users for its potential to be realized.
Yes, of course. Innovation actually comes into its own when it makes an impact. When we see a large number of delighted users, we can say we have an innovation. The satisfaction of these many users is the ultimate test of innovation in design, isn't it?
I'm sure that you appreciate how challenging innovation by design is, and also why every idea that sounds good may not turn into an innovation. In order to translate ideas into tangible products, what the designer requires is a comprehensive understanding of the needs of the users and how they could be satisfied.
Users again. We've already spoken about different kinds of users. Now let's talk about different kinds of innovation.
Yes, there are many types of innovation. We could have radical innovations where a completely new technology replaces an old one. Like what we saw with the coming of solid-state audio players, like the iPods that swept away all our old Walkmans.
Now we don't even need a separate music player. It's all on our phone and the music is available online.
It could be innovation at different stages of product development. For instance, there could be innovation in manufacturing to reduce the cost of a product. A good example is the Tata Nano car, where innovative manufacturing reduced the cost drastically to make an affordable small car. Another category of innovation could be in the distribution chain. A packaging idea of making miniature packs at low cost made several products accessible to consumers of lower income groups.
Like the miniature sachets of shampoos, coffee, masala, chutneys. We see them hanging all over local shops and roadside stalls.
These reached all over the country, even in areas that were not regarded as potential markets for such products. As the idea caught on, a number of other household products became available in affordable small packaging.
Like the Chota recharge for your mobile phones.
Yes, we can see how innovation traverses across various domains. We also have business process innovation in the popular supermarket chains in our cities and small towns.
They make purchases in bulk and keep the prices low by taking support of special softwares.
They sell in large quantities through special offers and promotions across different consumer segments, all of which result in brisk business.
And if I may add, there is also user-centered innovation. Take, for example, the gaming consoles that use motion sensors that detect human gestures. Such games compel players to respond with body movements in order to play. As they keep playing, the players develop greater skills and precision, and that takes them through the next level.
Sports, dance, and fitness are other popular workout games. These benefit users in multiple ways because they let them stay fit even as they are playing indoors.
Have you worked on something that you'd like to share with us as an example of innovation by design?
Yes, sure. Let me tell you about a chair.
Chair again, that's our favorite example.
This was a stackable cane chair taken up as a classroom project by a student who is our colleague now.
You mean Professor Kumareshan?
Yes.
Welcome. We were just talking about your chair.
Yeah, this chair I designed in 2003 when I was a student here. And later this was taken up by Professor Chakravarti for marketing and manufacturing.
Tell us about cane.
Cane is a plant that grows a lot in Northeast, and there are many cane craftsmen who work in Northeast. However, if you make cane furniture in Northeast and transport to other cities, the cost really goes up due to transportation. This is why furniture shops in the big cities, they bring both cane and the craftsmen to their places and locally manufacture it.
But this would cause a lot of disruption in the lives of the workers.
And ultimately, it does not cut costs either.
So what was your solution?
Our innovation was to make it more stackable, like this. So, like this, they can put 100 chairs in a container, whereas earlier they could only put 20 chairs.
5 times as many. Obviously, this meant that transport costs were slashed and the craftsmen could stay in their own villages, avoiding migration.
What is interesting here is that the issue of transportation impacted the very design of the chair.
And what an apt solution from the perspective of sustainability.
Of course, we didn't do the obvious also. We didn't straight away copy a standard stackable plastic furniture. We kept the visual appeal of cane intact here in this. We retained the weavings and all the details, cane details in this design.
The craftspersons could work from home, the manufacturer got better value, and the user got a better product which saved space in their homes and workplaces.
Also, it was a great experience. I got a chance to travel to remote places and met a lot of interesting people. And right now, my students are taking these projects further. And I have a class now. Shall I take a leave?
Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Design-driven innovation is often the result of team effort. It brings together a range of disciplines, humanities, technology, manufacturing, to management. Teams have to be built on the basis of the type of problems being addressed.
You're speaking of collaboration in design, which was the topic we discussed in this course last time.
Yes, collaboration is the name of the game today. Every designer who wants to take their design to the people must know about the perilous pitfalls of design innovation.
The pitfalls of design innovation.
This landscape shows us the path of product from idea to large-scale deployment. You can see 3 canyons or pitfalls which spell danger when an idea could fall in and fail before it gets anywhere. In the first stage, the designer is taking his idea from a mock-up to a prototype, which can be tested with users. The collaborators could be social scientists, material experts, technologists, and so on. If things are satisfactory, at this stage our idea is able to make the leap across the pitfall to becoming a working prototype. At this stage, the designer's role is say 70% of the total work.
So we have moved now from the mock-up to prototype and crossed the first pitfall.
Yes, now the prototype needs to be tested with users and refined and worked further. The designers take input from different collaborators to take the idea from prototyping to pilot production. Here the collaborators could be from user experience, market research, manufacturing and other related areas depending upon the type of product or service. By this time, the designer's role has shrunk to say 50% of the total effort.
So now we've safely crossed the second pitfall.
Now the challenge grows harder with large number of user trials and more inputs from users. In this stage, the collaborators are tool engineers, product planners, manufacturing experts, and most importantly, the financiers. Now the designer's involvement has shrunk to say 20%.
But not the intensity of the involvement.
Of course not. The designer has to champion the cause till the product reaches the marketplace.
I noticed that each successive pitfall indicates a deeper fall in case of failure.
Obviously so, because the further into the process we are, there is so much more at stake in terms of costs and resources. And if the designer's idea slips into one of the pitfalls, the idea itself could be lost forever or the project timeline will go very large. So, like this adventurer, the designer needs some out-of-the-box thinking tools and a lot of technical help from other domains in order to leapfrog these pitfalls to critical junctures in the innovation process.
Every designer's nightmare indeed.
But the nightmare can be avoided with design thinking and early planning.
Design thinking for innovation. We need to talk more about this.
You know, the hurdles in the path of a designer are many. Every product presents a unique set of challenges to begin with and may throw up several unanticipated challenges all along the way. The contributions of a wide variety of experts may be needed before the product can see the light of the day. The designer has to play a significant role at every stage, negotiating between different teams.
The process of collaboration can be said to be a success when the innovation and design processes go through all the stages in the landscape, from the germ of an idea to an actual functioning product.
Design-driven innovation entails working very closely with potential users in order to satisfy their unmet needs. We can't leave the users out at any stage. However, interaction with users does not simply end after the initial market research. For a design to be successful, users must be considered and consulted throughout the innovation process. Let us go back to the example of the chair.
Of course, the chair, which has given us a front seat view from the very start of this course.
Exactly. So let me tell you a story.
I hope it's a happy ending.
Yes, it was a happy ending after a long and arduous trek. For success of any innovation by design and for the innovation journey to smoothly traverse these potential perilous pitfalls, the innovation process has to meet and successfully traverse the 7 concerns. The first concern is the cause. It is the resolve to solve a problem. The second is the context, understanding the user and the scenario. The third is the comprehension, which is arriving at design insights. The fourth is the check, making a blueprint for the design, a clear plan of action. The fifth one is the conception, creating multiple ideas and combining them to create concepts. Now we come to the sixth one, the crafting, making mock-ups, functional prototypes and pilot production. And finally, the seventh one, which is the connection, that is getting back to the user for user testing and feedback. Let us see how we use these 7 concerns in our Palki story. The thought process that drove us to redesign the Palki is a process I call the 7 concerns of innovation. This story is about the challenges of designing a palanquin, or palki as it's popularly called, for ferrying pilgrims to hillside shrine of Vaishno Devi in Jammu. Many pilgrims, especially the old and disabled, need help to negotiate the steep uphill climb up to the shrine. This Vaishno Devi Yatra starts from a place called Katra, and on this 4.5 hours long journey, the porter's dexterity in maneuvering the palki through narrow alleys and slippery roads is truly amazing. But the palki itself, the one that has been in use for so many years, is anything but sophisticated. A heavy structure made of galvanized iron pipes, usually used for water lines, are welded together to form a structure. This is tied to a wooden pole which rests on the porter's shoulder. This unwieldy chair continued to be offered as a service only due to the porter's ability to carry heavy loads, improvise solutions in emergencies, and keep the passengers safe. We were approached by the government to redesign the palki. Our basic brief was that we had to reduce the drudgery of the porters, make the palki lighter, but sturdier and more durable. I took the resolve that I will reduce the drudgery of the porters. So this was the championing the cause aspect as we were talking about earlier. The context refers to understanding the user's socio-economic and cultural and environmental conditions. We made a trip to Katra for getting a first-hand experience of the journey to Vaishno Devi on a palki, of course. The trip gave us an in-depth understanding of the porter's need and also made us very close and empathize with the porters. We learned to appreciate the special requirements of the terrain. By translating our ideas into actual prototypes, we had already crossed the first pitfall of the design death. It is not that this challenge was entirely new to us. We had already designed a palki for the tourist in the Ajanta caves, but the stark dissimilarity of the two terrains told us that the Ajanta design would never work in Vaishno Devi. Now remember, we are looking at the context very closely.
Yes.
The traditional design also reflected that for Ajanta, the 4 porters stand front and back on both sides like a square formation. But for Vaishno Devi, all 4 men are in a single file.
Why the single file?
Just because there are very narrow alleys and very crowded pathways with ponies and pilgrims, and hence if they're not in a single file, they just cannot maneuver and actually take the palki forward. In fact, I must tell you this, that when we tested our Ajanta palki just for checking out at Vaishno Devi,
You created a traffic jam.
yes, and then the palki didn't move. But the porters were very happy to use it. So they were using early in the morning when there was less rush, and they could still, they liked the lightweight designs. They were using it only for the lightweight purpose. Making such observations was critical in making us more sensitive to the social and geographical context in which our design was to make an intervention.
But they never considered building a road?
There was a motorable road part of the way, but the government agreed to keep commercial vehicles off the road so that porters will not lose their livelihoods. So the very idea behind redesigning the palki was to safeguard their means of subsistence while reducing the load on their shoulders. Interaction with users led us to the third concern, which is the comprehension, which is the stage of arriving at design insights. The existing palki was heavy and easily damaged. The crude structure actually did not have the capacity to withstand the load of the palki for a long duration of time. They were good for some months. Most of the time, it would be engaged by an aged or physically challenged pilgrim who boarded the palki along with the luggage. Whenever it broke, it was welded locally, but the material itself was not suitable for welding. We visited the location several times during the design process. During each visit, we refined our understanding of the porter's need. In fact, we were becoming very empathetic to the porter's needs. We studied how the porters coordinated at bends and climbs. The manner in which they shifted the weight from one shoulder to another shoulder because of the very heavy loads was also studied in detail. We realized that we had to stay close to some time-tested features of the old design. The grips at the right places for the porters and others inbuilt safety features that help them carry the passengers safely.
So now do we come to the fourth C, the check?
The check refers to creating a list of key requirements, or we commonly say product brief. The major points in our product brief for the palki were to reduce the drudgery of the porters, to make a change in the basic material for better durability, design a more comfortable seating arrangement for the pilgrims, and create a long-lasting product. The check captures all the insights, thus it gives a clear direction for idea generation. The fifth C for conception refers to generating many ideas and combining them to create multiple concepts. We incorporated the different requirements of various teams of porters whom we interviewed and thoroughly assessed the context to come up with as many as 5 different prototypes. Each of them was tested, which led to improvements in the next model. The choice of stainless steel solved the problem of durability and lightness, but we had to modify the diameter of the pipes so that we could ensure strength and durability. The design process had taught us that we could not radically alter the existing design without seriously affecting the porter's functionality, because they were using these palkis for ages. Hence, we made some dimensional changes only after user testing in the field with the porters.
Did you conduct any structural analysis?
You caught it as the right place. In fact, we were late in getting back to our engineering professors to do a structural analysis. We took the help of a colleague from IIT Bombay itself, Professor Yogesh Desai, an expert in structures. He told us that our structure was unsafe for long use. He helped us redesign the chair for structural stability over a long period of time with a large factor of safety. The structural analysis helped us make our product more usable, and to our surprise, it also improved the looks. The work of translating a prototype into a product A designer thus needs to collaborate with structural engineers and manufacturing experts. That brings us to the sixth C, the crafting. Refers to converting the selected concept into functional prototypes and finally to mass producible products.
Why do you need to mass produce the Palki?
Because there are around 600 porters and they also ferry pilgrims during the Amarnath Yatra. After taking in all the ergonomic and structural inputs, we finalized the design of the Palki in bent and welded lightweight stainless steel pipes. To reduce the weight, the seats were made from perforated stainless steel sheets. The wooden pole from the original design was retained for better comfort at the points where it came in contact with the porter's shoulders.
Are we now at the final C?
Yes, connection is the seventh and final C. It refers to the solution that leads to user satisfaction and delight, thus completing the innovation cycle. Nina, can you please hand over that model to me? In case of the Palki, we took the final prototype to Katra for user trials. We were thrilled when both the porters and the pilgrims were very satisfied with the experience.
This story illustrates why the designer can never hope to work magic in isolation, as every design project brings together skills from a number of interconnected fields.